Hey everyone again. I am getting weary of one thing in particular in this game. The root of all evil when it comes to planes and turning. There he is. The gyro. Very, very useful feature added to this game, especially when it comes to space. I personally believe it should stay in space, but the devs think otherwise, so oh well. I see too many people making drop dead gorgeous looking planes and then filling them full of these. And it is just so sad to see because the planes are performing awfully. They instantly stall turn all the time. They can't rate at all. They can hardly control them when they come to land. And they can, like, when they're on the floor, they can just take off like rockets and just shoot straight up. They'll make their wings with no leading edge in mind, so they'll make them look a little something like what the devs have made here. With this flat wing edge, it's a recipe for disaster. It really is. There's your gyros as well. That is such a bad idea, because you are then essentially flying a brick. Because sure, these are working, but look how many, if you just took this out. Well, actually, no, you don't need to take it out. Leave it there. Just put a layer of leading edge in the front. You need 3 of them, probably. Look at that. You got nice leading edge on there now you can do stuff with. Now, instantly, by default, that's the wrong button, it is going to turn a lot nicer. I've removed the gyros as well. It's going to be a lot more stable because it has more wings on the front. And it's going to turn a lot nicer. You're going to hold your speed more as you turn the same. So notice I'm not really stalling that much anymore. Whereas before, if I had this thing, I would definitely have been stalling instantly. Now, oh god. So just by throwing that little bit of leading edge in the front there, I've already helped this thing to become a lot more easy to use. And another thing you can do, if you do still want to stall, is if you make sure you have a control set so that it moves all of those upwards, you now have leading edge pull. I forgot that it is inverted on this plane. They use S for up instead of W, which is fine. I wouldn't recommend doing this for down, leading edge for down, just because you're not going to pull down as much as you're going to pull up, and it's just not really useful. But now when I press S, I am going to turn myself around, and that is pretty much a stall, because I'm dropping in altitude quite fast there. Look how much nicer this is to control. No gyros in this anymore. Really, you do not need them. Now, one interesting feature about this build is they have these little, almost like canards in the front because of where they're positioned. They're not really canards because they don't move, but they do help with lift quite significantly. You can see here the degrees I'm turning. If I took those off, I would be a lot faster. I would rate a lot more in the turn, but I wouldn't quite turn as fast. So it is, whilst it is kind of strange that they don't move, like not even a little bit, it is nice that they're there. Like if I take these off right now, you're gonna see that although I am a lot faster in the turn, like that 100 kilometers faster, I don't quite turn as much. Now whether you like that more is up to you. I personally like it more, but you might not, so you do what you want. But speaking of canards, if you don't want to get messy with leading edge, then you can 100% just use canards. They are surprisingly strong. I made a MiG-25 in one of my later Trailmakers videos, and I made it with the fact that it was not a good dogfighter in mind. It doesn't turn too well at all. Now it's fast in a turn, but it doesn't turn very well. Like that's me holding W all the way, and shift as well, because sometimes there's no shift on this because sometimes I use shift for extra pitch in case I need it. But you can see here, very fast, but it's just not turning. It's hardly turning at all. That will all change the moment you put two little canards that move on the front. Now here it is with the two canards on the front. All I have it set to is just 15 degrees. That's all it is, and it's pretty slow as well. Going in obviously opposite directions to the tails. And look how it pulls now. Instantly turns around. Now that is a lot harder to control because of how fast that stalls, and you don't keep the speed as much. But look at it pull now. That is... It's only 15 degrees. Those are only going 15 degrees. And it's not just this plane that works on. It works on pretty much all of the planes that I've tested. There's my F-18. Now it turns nicely by itself, but you chuck canards on this thing, and it can literally just go around in circles. Stalls, look at that, it just fell out of the sky like a brick. It just holds that stall. So if you do still like stalling, then the canard is another option. You can chuck it in something like a delta wing, and it'll actually function quite nicely as just a standard method of... Why was I not pulling up then? Doesn't matter. As just your regular lift. You can see here how that is a very tight turn, but it's still very fast. That's a good fight. Can you imagine fighting people in there? That's, I might use this thing actually. I've not realised I've kind of been sleeping on a bit of a gem here. I was going to talk about something else. What was it? Oh yeah, I should have said this earlier. This is an example of one of my planes without the leading edge on. Now this Su-27 is one of my most heavily worked on planes. I have loads of little features in this that just help it fly very nicely because it is very heavy. Very, very, very heavy. Because it's heavy, it doesn't like to... I guess because it has such a large wing area, doesn't necessarily like to roll, pitch, or yaw, to be honest. So the first thing I've had to do is when I use boosted pitch, if you like, with shift, which just brings all my leading edge up. If I press A and D, it will lower the one just so I can roll nicely. I have roll on my tails. Only one tail. Why is the one broken but the one working? That's a bit weird. Oh well, that might be why it's a bit lopsided then. I'll try and fix that. And I think I have a bit more. But this thing is just been a nightmare to try and get it to do anything I want it to, because it's so damn heavy. And I've turned it into a pretty capable fighter now, but you can see it just as soon as you go to pull a bit more, it just loses all of its speed because it's so heavy. I'm able to cram 700 complexity into here and 100 power cores right on the limit. But if you look at it without the leading edge, it flies absolutely horrendously. The tail is actually good enough. That's good enough. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. There you go. That's good enough. So if I pull now, my tail goes into the floor. I'm late into the pull. It's a little bit faster, but it doesn't pull as much. And shift. I mean, shift hardly does anything at all now. Now, this might look good, but when you're trying to fight people who have airframes like that Mirage I just showed you, if you're trying to fight something like that, you've got no chance. No chance at all. So, that leading edge really can help. So, you know, to conclude, just grab one of your planes, grab one of them, doesn't matter which one, take out the gyros and just experiment with your wings, see what you can do with your wings, see what you can do with your control surfaces. Now, concerning, does it matter if your elevators actually move or not, like I do on all my planes, because I think it looks awesome. Does it matter if they actually roll, actually pitch? Now, for pitch, I'm not entirely sure, because on one hand, you can just make these little elevators move, and that will provide you with enough lift. On the other hand, you can move the entire rotating servo, or you can do both. It's up to choice, really. But when it comes to roll, it does help a lot more than you would, like, kind of think. It's quite powerful for roll, which is why I always put them on. And I have them on all my planes, you know, all of them. This thing is amazing as well. I just kind of whipped this up one day and I was not expecting it to be too good. It's due an upgrade because I have 2 rotating servos when I only need 1. I did try to make a canopy but failed miserably. That's all it is. It's got a little HUD, I guess, but yeah, I failed miserably there. And my guns as well. I don't hide my guns. That is mainly because I make all of these without guns in them and I just throw them on afterwards. But it's also because sometimes it can be a pain in the ass getting the auto-aiming ones to fit inside places where they won't shoot parts of your plane off. Because I have a lot of my plane on hinges, and if they're on a hinge, sometimes this game can think it's a separate thing entirely, and it just gets your guns and shoots straight through them. So just for the sake of not blowing up my own planes, I put my guns outside. On fighters, yeah, it looks a little bit bad, a little bit weird, but it's not too noticeable. And if you make something like a strike aircraft, like this Frogfoot with very, very, very long wings, because why not? You can just chuck them on the wings. I did actually try to fit this one internally, and it fits in there kind of nicely, but it does, as I said, it shoots part of the plane off sometimes. It's just kind of annoying. But anyway, I'm going to stop yapping now. Stop using gyros, stop using them. I'm going to create the gyro police right now. If I find you using gyros, I'm going to... Alright, no. Alright, here's the deal, right? If you use a gyro in your plane, oh no, I can't think. Just don't use them. See ya.